In today's segment, we'll talk to Sardar Hari Nam Singh Khalsa, who is a well-known personality in our community. And he has been in this field for the past over 20 years, whereby he has been disseminating information about Sikhism on the media also. Today, what I want to talk to him about is a very important topic, because many a times we talk to people and they come up with this issue as to when we talk about religion per se, people have got a different perspective about religion. What actually is religion? And especially what's happening in Quebec right now about the Charter of Values, what we need to understand and how we need to face these issues and challenges. Let's welcome Sardar Hari Nam Singh Khalsa. Ji Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
A pleasure once again to have you on the show. Thank you.
Our privilege to be with you.
So when we talk about religion per se, if you could just tell us, what is religion basically? Is it just some rituals and ceremonies in which we perform and we have done our duty, our obligation towards religion, or religion is a way of life?
Well, you know, Ji, the roots of religion, if you look at the word religion, the word is reality. So religion started because people wanted to understand what is reality. What is this world? What is this universe? How does it exist?
Right.
And that began sort of the process, you know, where if you look at the ancient times, you know, worshipping idols and things like this, you know, because people wanted to have some understanding of what is religion. So as the world progressed, as time progressed, different people started practicing different beliefs. Unfortunately, many of those beliefs then became different rituals and ritualistic systems. And those ritualistic systems have led to wars, etc., and we've seen over the years.
Right.
Guru Nanak Dev Ji came at a very interesting time in this world to bring a message of true reality, true peace, and true equality for all people. So as we see in this world as what's happening today, is that there's a lot of division based on religion. If we look again at history, when we look at the different wars, the Crusaders with the Christians, and of course all the different wars that we faced and within India and other places as well. So then religion has become equal to war in most people's eyes. And that's why there's, to some degree, you know, people are turning away from religions because of that fact.
No doubt about it. And especially the youngsters, when we are seeing that there's a major crisis, not only in Sikhism, but in other religions also, because youngsters are talking about spirituality.
Correct.
And they are saying that religion, which was to take us to spirituality, but in religious terms these days, spirituality is missing.
Yes.
So that's probably one of the reasons that they are going away. But the issue is that religion, as you said, it was to unite. It tells us about the reality of life.
Yes.
What is the reality of life? That also we do not know. If you could elaborate on this, please.
Well, in our faith and our belief, as our gurus have taught to us, is that the reality of life is there's one God, Ek Onkar, and that one God is the same God of all people. So the direction then, that started again with Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the direction was then, rather than get involved in all these outside things, and to just get a focus that there's this one universe. This universe is complete.
Right.
And that every human being is under that eyes of that same God. There's not one God for Sikh, one God for Christian, one God for Jew, one God for Muslim. It's the same God. It's the same basic energy of universal life or light. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji created a system where by simply meditating on God's name, Nam Simran, by meditating on God's name, one could feel the experience of the reality of their lives and lead a devotional life. And that, as we say, you know, what is the difference between religion and spirituality, and why today are more youth wanting spirituality instead of religion?
Right.
Because again, even within our own Sikh faith, we know we've brought back ritual, we've brought back division. And as long as within any faith group, whether it's Sikh, Muslim, whatever, where there's a division, then the youth are the first to see that division. And today they don't want to be part of that division.
Right. So as you very rightly said, they don't want to be a part of the division. But what's the solution for this? Because right now there's a crisis in humanity, what we are finding. While religion was to internally purify us, as you said, but today what is happening is that we are compartmentalizing even religion also, because we also think that religion is just an obligation to go to a Gurdwara once a week or sometime during a Khand Path, going there, sitting for some time, offering some money to Guru Sahib and coming back, and we have fulfilled our obligation. Whereas there was a time when, as Sikhs, people used to believe on the Sikhs. The word of the Sikhs was counted as a written paper.
Yes.
But today, we are missing that. So it's been just 500 years. It's not a long period. Guru Nanak's philosophy is universal. But today, that is what is bereft of. We are not finding those kind of fundamentals, the basics of life, what Guru Nanak had taught us. What do you feel? You have been in the community for a long time, interacting with the people, while theorizing is more. While we know God is one, we are all children of God. All the theory everybody knows. But why is it that we are not being able to incorporate it into our daily life?
Well, in our faith, you know, Guru Granth Sahib makes it very clear how to live. Do we live as Manmukh or Gurumukh? Do we live thinking we are everything and it's our will that counts? Or do we accept Guru's Kirpa? Do we accept the will of God? You know, today globally, we need tolerance.
Right.
And we looked in faith and religion to have tolerance. Why would we not want to be part of a faith if there wasn't tolerance and acceptance? And this again was the life of our gurus, was to accept everyone. You know, our gurus gave their lives not just for a Sikh or Khalsa, they gave their lives for everyone, Hindu, whatever, Buddha, doesn't matter.
Right.
Because the consciousness of tolerance is what existed. And what attracted me to this faith, because I could have chosen anything, I could have made my pick, was the universal teaching, the truth, and the tolerance.
Right.
And until we have true tolerance with each other, because we don't believe that, well, Sikh is the only way of life, and if you're not Sikh, therefore, no. We say everyone is created equal. Everyone has that opportunity to practice as they choose. So when we don't see this tolerance, when we see the kind of wars that are happening throughout the Middle East, when we see different groups fighting, and within our own faith we see that infighting, our young people today are very alert.
Right.
And they have everything at their disposal, Twitters and Googles and, you know, what they call that, Facebooks, all those kinds of things.
Right.
Immediate at their fingertips. They understand it better than us, and they find the truth immediately. Guru Nanak Dev Ji spread a message of truth. He changed the face of religion. Prior to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they said that God was outside of you. Guru Nanak Dev Ji came and said, no, he said, God is inside. And you can experience God within yourself.
Right.
And really created a system, which I believe, and why I follow this path of life, can lead one to that true liberation, can lead one to a true knowledge within themselves. Well, what is Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib isn't just a mirror on life.
Right.
You know, it's just a mirror to you to look at every day. And I think that as the world grows, if we really want to truly bring tolerance, peace, and acceptance to all people, then we have to realize that everyone is equal. Guru Nanak Dev Ji came to this planet not very long ago, and it was predicted someone would come that would bring a message of truth. And he brought that message of truth.
No doubt about it. He brought the message of truth, but as Sikhs, as his followers, the concept of Chardi Kala, which was inculcated in us. Today what we are finding is the Sikhs also are having a victim mentality most of the time.
Yes.
And we are not being able to understand the basic concept which was told to us. While we do theorize, as I said before also, that we are praising that our religion is this, our religion is that. But if somebody else says, then we get perturbed and then we raise a lot of our voices. But we are ourselves, when we are not following that, then we are not being able to self-analyze what's happening. So it's a crisis again in the Sikh community also.
Yes.
The youngsters, the elders, and the middle-aged also.
Yes,
Nobody knows, because anybody who comes speak in their own tone, and a common person just gets more confused rather than that simpleness which was brought by Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
That's true.
So over here, what do you feel? As you said, that liberation of self is what is required, and that's what the Gurus told us. So where to start off? Because everybody wants to walk on this path, but the only issue is nobody knows what is it. Guru Granth Sahib, yes, everybody bows before it, but what is in it? We are either not understanding it, either we are ignorant, or we are not wanting to know what it is. So how to go about this?
Well, you know, I have the advantage because I'm white, you know, who came to this faith. Now it's been almost 37 years,
Right.
over half my life. What did I saw in it? I saw that there was an essence and an essential truth. But I also see, I've traveled the world, I've spent time in so many gurdwaras, of course, with our Sangats all over the world, and I've seen these problems, I've seen the trouble. I did research and studied our history to know that the Sikh population was divided in India because of its power and its strength, and it was infiltrated and divided from within.
Right.
That division is still there. And because we're so young, it's still going to take maybe even a few generations, not even generations, massive generations, to bring the purity back into what is the true and the true understanding. Many of those who have converted to Sikhism, like myself, are coming, trying to live as best we can to what the teachings are. It's very tough because, Guru challenges the mind in every second,
Right.
every mention. I think that the division within ourselves, within the Sangat itself, is based on a lot of emotionalism.
Right.
And that emotionalism itself within our community is taking away from the devotion.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to take all those emotions and change it to devotion. And this is what
Right.
Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught. Take your emotions and change it to your devotion.
Right.
And devotion is a divine ocean. It's huge, it's vast.
Mm-hmm.
Until we let this ego go, what is read more in Siddhi Guru Granth other than the word ego, right?
Right.
That when we can let go of that
Mm-hmm.
and let go, we say, why do we fight? We fight because we want to forget.
That's right.
So we say, let's forget to fight,
Mhm.
And when we start forgetting to fight and wanting to find the unity, and certainly within our faith, the youth now is more conscious and more aware of wanting peace and unity within our faith.
Wonderful. We'll continue with the discussion. We'll go for a small break, come back and talk a little bit more about the Charter of Values in Quebec and also some other challenges and issues, what we are facing and what needs to be done. We'll come back after this break. So ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਜੋ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਹਰੀ ਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਕੁਝ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੈ, ਅਫਸੋਸ ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਰੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਵਸਦੇ ਨੇ, ਇਹ ਚੈਲੰਜ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕ ਰਹੇ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ। ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਲਿਬਰੇਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹੀ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਤੁਰ ਪਏ ਹਾਂ। ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੋਰ ਸਮੱਸਿਆਵਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਸਪਿਰਿਚੁਅਲਿਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਰਿਲੀਜਨ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦਾ ਸੀ, ਰਿਲੇਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਸਕੀਏ, ਜੀਵਨ ਜਾਤ ਸਾਡੀ ਬਣ ਸਕੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਪਾਸੇ ਹੀ ਤੁਰ ਪਏ ਹਾਂ। ਹੋਰ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ। Bhai Sahib, Bhai Hari Nam Singh Khalsa has talked on the basic issues what we are facing today, the challenges and also what needs to be done. ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਓ ਹੋਰ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਿਵਰਤਨ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਸਹੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। So when we were talking about relating to that consciousness and understanding the basic purpose of life, letting go of the ego, these are the basic universal concepts what Guru has taught us. But today, what again we are finding is that we are engulfed in many other issues. We are not being able to talk about spirituality, which was the basic essence, which is the basic essence of all religions as a matter of fact. But we were given a simplified code, I would say, whereby we could connect with ourselves and then of course connect with the Paramatma, the universal soul. So as you were mentioning that the basic idea was to understand and liberate ourselves, but we are not being able to understand that. Hari Nam Singh Ji, if you could take us on this journey, how to liberate ourselves and from where to start?
See, what I learned that our Guru's taught was that there's three basic principles of understanding within each and every one of us that we have to deal with. We call it physical,
Right.
mental, and you could say spirit, emotions, whatever. That there has to be that unity or that trinity of body, mind, and spirit. We
Right.
say. Body means physically that if we're tense, if we don't look after our physical bodies, which is a problem in our Sangats,
Oh, yeah.
especially our generations and older, that when there isn't a consciousness of the physical self, exercising, breathing properly, which is talked about in Siddhi Guru Granth, about breath. So Darshan Chakra Kriya is within the Guru Granth itself, teaching about Vaheguru and the breath of Vaheguru. So number one, if we're physically tense,
Right.
if we're not working out, if we're not doing something, then it restricts our mental, our ability to then, with the mind. What is the mind? The mind brings the meditation, the Nam Simran, the Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. If we can relax and vibrate through with the Nam Simran, trust in Bhat, trust in our hymns and our teachings, and then mentally our minds can then find a stillness. Through that stillness, it creates a portal or creates a gate or an opening. That is the power of Guru itself, to create an opening, because Guru Nanak taught there was a link between Atma, soul, and
Right.
Paramatma, infinite soul.
That's right.
And that the link between a human being, Atma, soul, to Paramatma is Guru. Guru is that vibration. And what is the technology of Guru is called Shabad.
Right.
Shabad is that which cuts the ego, Shabad Guru, and transforms one into a higher state through Gurbani, through the
Right.
vibration of the sound that's contained within. That is the power of Shabad Guru.
Right.
So it's been said by people outside of our faith that Shabad Guru, or that technology, can heal this world, can bring peace to this planet. We don't believe it. within our own faith, right?
Right.
We don't believe in that system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, many people come to me, they say, oh, are you part of the Sikh religion? I say, no. They said, no, but you look like you are. I said,
Right.
no. They said, what are you part of? I said, I'm the Sikh way of life.
Right.
Right? It's different. Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught a way of living
Mm-hmm.
that included working hard, correct? Share what you have with others, the
Right.
dasvan, give 10% what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And Nam Simran, meditate. Don't forget that part of yourself. We have forgotten that part of ourselves. We just focus on how much money I can make, houses I can own, kids I can have. You know, we judge our kids like, did they get A, B, you know, did they go to this university? But did we teach them to have A's in spiritual studies, A in Gurmukh? No,
Right.
we don't. Right? So we get caught back again into
Mm-hmm.
this finite life, right? This life thinking if we just live the way we are, then everything will be fine. Because Guru talks about three ways of life we can choose.
Mm-hmm.
One we call living as an animal. You know,
Right.
like dogs barking at each other. You know, when you cut somebody off from the car, hey, you, right? So it says living as an animal is
Right.
one way. That's called living at each other.
Mm-hmm.
In our community, a lot of time we live at each other.
That's right.
They said third way would be to live as a human.
Mm-hmm.
What is a human? Well, I'll just go to work, my kids will go to school, I'll have 2 cars, I'll have 1 house.
Mm-hmm.
That's called living as a human, which is living with each other.
Right.
But Guru says the highest way of life
Mm-hmm.
is when we live in the enlightenment, when we live in Vaheguru, and that's called living for each other.
That's right.
And Guru has taught us to live for each other.
Mm-hmm.
When we decide and make that conscious choice that we're going to live for each other, because we can help this world evolve, and Sikh will.
Right.
Khalsa will help this, or has already,
Mhm.
even though history hasn't yet acknowledged it. But we shall be known as time goes on.
Right.
But if we, within our own selves,
Mhm.
can't find that unity
Yeah.
within our community, the unity of our Sangats, to live for each other. Because look at what we've brought back in. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, no ritual, no caste, everything. What did
And
we bring in?
everything-
We brought everything
all
back.
the things
right?
back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's created, you know what I'm saying. That we
Absolutely.
can't, this one, we can't do that one, this one. And until that's eradicated, until we're able to have that honesty, and our children see in the Gurdwaras that the mentality is not just how much money we can bring in,
Right.
but when it becomes true
Mhm.
experience and giving true experience. Because the challenge, that I give to all our kids and certainly to the Sangat, I say, if someone like I can do it from
Right.
Canadian background,
Oh yeah.
then why can't you do it 10 times better than me, 100 times better?
Mhm.
You have the technology, you have the science.
Right.
I had to understand it from the Western mind,
Right.
right? And then by, I don't know how, was able to explain it somehow that people said, oh, now that makes some sense.
Right.
And
So
that's
that
what
intention is missing basically.
intention. I mean, that's why am I accepted here, because I've become humble to these teachings.
Right.
Let them become my way of life,
Mhm.
and then somehow I was able to share the experience.
Absolutely. That's again a very important point what you have touched, because today, right now, that alignment what you have talked about, the mind, body and spirit, which is missing. As far as the body is concerned, we know, especially over in our communities, the blood pressure, the heart attacks, the diabetes, it's at the highest
Rampant,
level.
rampant.
And we are not, it's rampant.
And depression.
And depression too. Stress and depression is absolutely taking us away from our basic, the concept of Chardi Kalat, what we talked
Correct,
earlier.
yes.
But we are not, again, recognizing this in the Gurdwaras, the places where we are going to understand the message of the Guru. Over there also, we are not changing the way our habits are. And if nothing happens from there, this crisis will continue. As far as the mind is concerned, as you very rightly said, we are not living for each other. We are living at each other, because everybody thinks he or she knows more than the other person, and the ego gets bloated, and we are not understanding that the Guru had eliminated all these
Correct.
things. Now, another thing which comes in mind is that when you talk about religion today, anybody who talks about religion, he's considered to be orthodox. That's what you're not cool, especially the youngsters, they call about these things. What are you talking about? And that's the result that what we find in Quebec also, the so-called universal charter of values they're trying to bring
yes.
in. I would like to know your perspective. How do you see this, and what kind of divisions that can create in the society, which has already started? Just a few days back, there was a YouTube going viral about a Muslim woman being teased by a guy sitting in the bus and taunting him for what he or she
Yes.
was. So what do you see, where are we heading?
Yeah, I mean, it opens up a can of worms, and we know we're seeing what's happening in France. They have that similar, and it's spreading to Belgium and Switzerland. To me, it's a form of racism. You know, it's against, you know, they say, well, no, it's not. It's everybody should be across the board the same.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's no across the board that is the same.
Yeah.
That's, you know, you can't say, well, we want everybody equalized.
Right.
Well, we're not all the same. We have different faiths, different beliefs, different acceptances.
Right.
In this day and age, that tolerance has to be accepted. We've heard when the lady, Miss America, and then all the backlash from her, some called her Arab, this and that, right?
Right.
That the perception of that, which has been somewhat our fault to some degree in terms of misrepresentation on our parts,
Right.
but on the other hand, still, we're going to a basic issue of human rights, human freedom, the choice of every human being to practice and believe, as long as it's not imposing upon. And I don't see where the dastar or, you know, a Jewish kippah, or they're wearing the veil, that is really hindering somebody else's right. I don't believe that.
Right.
And then to take that identity away when they said, well, our children, you know, can't keep their hair when they're playing soccer. They you know, they can't cover it like that. And the children couldn't play. What message does that give to our children? Right? It says that, you know, being a Sikh, being a Muslim, being a Jew, having a unique appearance, whatever, is wrong, is not good, and unacceptable.
Right.
And that's the wrong message. We're not trying, we are not, certainly as Sikhs, not trying to take over the world. I can't speak for others.
That's right.
But for us, we're not here to take over the world, simply to want to be able to wear those articles of faith that we've chosen to wear that demonstrate our commitment, not to take away from anybody, but to add. So to me, in that sense, until there's tolerance, it doesn't make sense. We met with the Consul General of France several months ago in Toronto,
Right.
and we had the same thing. And I said to him, if a person came here and they applied for a job and they had the best qualifications, they were #1, but they were a Sikh or they were Muslim or what have you, and they had a distinctive way of dressing,
Right.
would you hire that person? He said to me, no, we would not hire that person.
Okay.
It's very straight.
Right.
I said, well, our meeting is finished.
That's right. Once you are already having biases, how can you continue talking?
Right.
And it's an irony that how people forget the contributions of, as we are talking about the Sikhs, during the World War I,
Definitely.
over 100,000 Sikhs died in France, fighting for the French.
correct.
And today
Yes.
they are having a problem just to carry on with the turban. What it
Correct.
is.
Yes.
But nevertheless, as you said, the tolerance has to be brought, but that has to begin with oneself. Because right now in our community itself, we are finding that injustice of caste, creed, and all that, what we are talking, while we are lamenting upon when somebody does something, we lament upon it and say it's wrong. But what we are doing, we are not ready to introspect. I think the time has come when we need to start that introspection from ourselves, start making the things right in our own corner,
Correct.
and then give some judgment or talk to someone else that
Correct.
here we are, that it's not that we just talk, we also practice also.
Correct.
It was a pleasure having you. Thank you very much.
My
for your time.
privilege. Waheguru Ji ka
Khalsa,
Khalsa,
Waheguru Ji ki
Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਭਾਈ ਹਰੀਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਿਸ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚਾਰਟਰ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿਊਬੈਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਟੋਲਰੈਂਸ ਦੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਟੋਲਰੈਂਸ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੜੀ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੱਖ ਤਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਿੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਸਿਰਫ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਬਲਕਿ ਪੂਰੇ ਇਨਸਾਨੀਅਤ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਸਹਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੀਏ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਬੜਾ ਸੌਖਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਰਤ ਕਰੋ ਨਾਮ ਜਪੋ ਵੰਡ ਛਕੋ ਦਾ ਕਨਸੈਪਟ ਬੜਾ ਈਜ਼ੀ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਮੂੰਹ ਤੱਕ ਹੀ ਨਾ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਏ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਈਗੋ ਹਉਮੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇੰਨੇ ਭਾਰੂ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨ ਕੇ ਹੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਲੰਬੀ ਜਦੋਜਹਿਦ ਕੀਤੀ ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੇਕਰ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਸਾਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਸੂਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ ਫੀਡਬੈਕ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਰੇ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰਨਾ